out to be completely unreliable assholes.
Ready or not, Tim, here I come.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah?
You said the thing.
Yes, I said the thing.
I'm hiding from doing this episode. Get it?
It's true. The movie we're talking about today, I kept accidentally typing in hide and seek to look it up, but that's something else. Not because.
Therefore.
Anyway, therefore, thank you, Tim.
Hitherto.
Today.
Vis-a-vis.
Today, hello, everyone. Therefore, today, everyone, we're on episode 55 of Dismembering Horror. I know, nice number.
Yeah, this feels much better than 53 did.
Yeah. A good chunky 55.
Yeah.
Dismembering Horror. The podcast show where myself, Ryan McDuffie,
And myself, Tim Aslin.
we dismember a horror film every week. Mm-hmm. Every Thursday, in fact.
Yeah.
And we hope you enjoy. We hope you join us. I've said that before.
Conjoin us.
Come join us.
Conjoin us.
Conjoin us.
Sisters style.
Yeah, where we talk about what worked, what did not work for us, and anything we found interesting or noteworthy about a horror film that we hope is going to be good when we set out to watch it.
We hope.
Yeah. What else do we do here?
Get a little too warm in this very small room.
Yep. It's summer here in Los Angeles.
I'm so worried because it's this whole summer I've been waiting for that week that is just
It just keeps almost
awful.
Getting there. This has been
we haven't quite had it.
This has been it's supposed to be like a sort of mid-early 90s week or high 80s week, where it's just oh, it's hot. Oh no, but it's been worse.
Yeah.
And it could get worse.
A couple of years ago, I was out helping shoot a music video, in the ranch where they film Westworld, and the reason we could get it's the Disney Ranch. The reason we could get it for fairly cheap is because 6 months earlier, it had completely burned from wildfire.
Whoa.
And that's what the director wanted for this shoot, is that kind of burnt out look.
They should be charging more then.
I know, right? And don't shoot things in California in August. Don't do it. It's gonna be, especially outside.
Yeah.
It was 118.
What? Out in the valley direction, yeah.
Yeah, it was up in Santa Clarita. It was so hot that the soap in the soap dispenser in the porta potties was literally scalding. Somebody squirted it onto their hands and had to go to the medic for burn treatment.
What? Just for trying to...
And then we had to put a note on it being don't use this. It's too hot.
Jesus.
It was so insane. Anyway.
Well...
I'm hoping we don't get to that heat again.
Hollywood, slightly cooler.
Slightly.
Something else we do on the show, Tim, that's important is we circle back, make corrections to... amend anything said in previous episodes. Not a huge one.
What did I say?
No, this one's me this time. Immediately. No, and it was super brief because remember I mentioned Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey was my recommendation, and we were getting excited about the new one, and you asked if it's the same writer director behind it, creative pair. I said, yeah, I think it is the same two people, same creative pair. Well, okay, for the record, to correct it, it's actually been a different director every time, but it's the same writing creative pair who they are always, but very involved writers, Ed Solomon and Chris Matheson. But the director of the new one, we can hold out a little hope because he did direct Galaxy Quest, which is a great movie.
Yeah, it is.
So fingers crossed.
Do you know when it's supposed to come out? Or have they even said that?
Yeah, they have just released set a release date. I think it's, I want to say September 2020, summer 2020.
Cool.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Great. Oh, and another dismembering horror related news and related to the movie we're talking about. Maybe this was better for things of note, But there's a sequel announced to the film. That was our very first episode, The Babysitter.
I saw that, yeah.
So I think we'll have to do that one.
Definitely. What if that one is like times out to be like episode 100?
I know. I'm hoping we can do it for 101.
Right. Yeah, that'd be funny.
You mean the Babysitter starring not Margot Robbie?
Listen, let's not beat a dead horse here. I literally still think it was her.
But alas, it was Samara Weaving we saw in this week's film.
You can elaborate if you want. On our little exchange.
let's save that. I want to get into it. If we remember, have time, save that for the things of note. Something for you to look forward to.
There you go.
Samara Weaving is who we saw in this week's film.
Who you saw?
Yeah. Okay. Let's watch the trailer.
Okay. Cool.
We watch Ready or Not.
I can't believe that in half an hour, I will be a part of the Ladomus Gaming Dynasty Empire.
Dominion. We prefer Dominion.
I honestly can't wait to be a part of your family.
There's just one more thing. And then you are officially part of the family. So, at midnight, you have to play a game.
Why
It's just something we do when someone new joins the family.
a game? What game? Hide and seek? Are we really gonna play that?
Well, the rules are simple. You can hide anywhere. We then try to find you.
So there's no way for me to win, right?
And stay hidden till dawn.
No, thank you.
Good luck.
What the hell is this? How old is this thing?
I know you're in here.
Oh, Jesus, you shot the maid.
Does she look like she's wearing a giant white wedding dress, Emily?
Holy shit!
I had to play along so that I can get...
I kind of like the trailer way, way, way better than the movie.
I mean, the trailer pretty much shows all of the fun stuff.
Yeah. But just in I think a way that was more fun, maybe because it was way shorter. to start
fair.
to give away how I felt about it.
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. Next we do our summary. No, our rating.
Yeah.
Which was a perfect transition for what I was just saying. Tim, I think this is the most stream it film I've seen on our show.
The most.
Yeah. It's like you see the poster for it and you're like, okay, well, I don't really care how good or bad it is. I want to see that.
Let me ask you a question. If you saw the trailer for The Babysitter, would you consider going to the theater to see it if it had been in the theater?
Yeah, I'd say like on par with this movie.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it too. It's like, remember I had said like I had passed up watching The Babysitter like constantly. I was like, I knew it existed on Netflix and I thought about watching it, and then I saw that it was directed by McG and I was like,
Yeah.
But then we watched it and we're like, ooh,
honestly
pleasantly
though,
surprised. But it feels like in the same lane.
This one would be I put a little far ahead as far as my initial interest in seeing it, just because of like the story that is in there of the horror versus the 1%. Mm-hmm. or from. But yeah, you know what? I don't know. That's where I'm at with it. It's like a solid stream. It's like, great, I got it. She's in the wedding dress running around in this house covered with blood. Mm-hmm. People are screaming at each other. There's some gore. There's some like little story that we get from it. But I mean, it wasn't, I just don't think it was good. I think there's a lot holding it back that just sort of, and I think why I'm excited to talk about it, and was why I said I was excited to talk about this one, is because it really is like a contemporary, I don't know, it's interesting to break down as a contemporary bad film. Yeah. Where I think it's extremely like, it can be harder to parse what's working and not, or just sort of there's newfound kind of like not tricks but like traps that kind of, you know, we can fall into as filmmakers nowadays, where okay, we see this thing is good and then we do it but not right.
Rep.
So and that's always new, and that's something that, you know, we're trying to do on our show here too, is stay on top of what all that is.
Definitely.
So we can benefit.
I want to say it's a rent for me because of like certain sort of production quality, and like I think everybody in it is good, but man, it's not good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to agree with you. It's a stream, unfortunately for it.
I wanted it to be so much better than it was. I really was holding out hope for this one.
I mean, I
not actually,
have
but
a lot of thoughts as to why.
Cool.
But yeah.
All right. Well, let's try to keep going then. Our summary.
Pretty straightforward. Although I think there's like a key element that the family has signed a deal with Satan is muddied through most of the movie until the third act, in my mind.
That is the story happening. But
right. And I think that would have helped it if that had been more clear, or like just depicted differently, it may have helped it. But the basic story is that a fostered, you know, girl who's now an adult has been engaged to a very like insanely wealthy heir to like a Milton Bradley style family, you know, made games. And she's essentially meeting the family for the first time because her fiance has issues with them, unknown issues. So they get married at the house, and as a part of their tradition, she has to draw a card from a box and play whatever game the card says.
An old box.
Right. An old box that was given to them by another old dude, not in the family, that was a former game partner, sort of helped their family get their fame.
We learned it was success. Like they made some pact with the devil for their fortune, and in exchange they have to do this every time someone enters the family, and for the most part someone picks something benign like chess, right. But every once in a while, actually, you like in the cold open from 30 years ago, when you pick hide and seek, it's actually a death hide and seek.
Mm-hmm. And if they can, as the trailer said, if you can live till dawn, the idea, what they've been told is if anybody lives till dawn, that the family will die.
Yeah. But what starts as like the rich person's presumption of trying to turn it into a sport at first, like have fun with it, then turns into them scrambling just to try to get her because things go awry. Yeah. I guess.
She's a little better at getting away than they suspected.
I'd say a little luckier.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as much as I wanted this to be, she's kicking ass.
Right.
She kind of just...
Yeah, didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Like twice.
Right. All right. So that was the summary.
That's it.
Can we go into what worked?
What was her name? The character's name?
Grace.
Oh, yeah. Grace, and her husband's name is...
Alex,
right. Those are the only ones that are really important, I think.
Right. Well, everyone else will be about in relation to Grace and Alex.
Right.
So we'll have Alex's dad, Alex's mom,
Alex's brother,
Alex's aunt. Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. Let's do it. What worked?
What worked for you? What worked for you?
It worked like a charm, Smith.
What worked? What worked for you?
You know, there are so many on the surface things that I like about the movie.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you mentioned the casting already.
Yeah, everybody was cool.
Yeah.
Like good like grounded, felt like a place, felt like the setting, the look, like all those things felt cool to me. Well, I was like into it.
Good casting as character to help tell the story. Like it's fun casting as the family of the evil 1%. Like, yeah, I mean, just it's a particular tone that comes from the casting where it's like, yeah, you have the evil aunt sitting there just staring daggers at her in this over the top way.
Yeah.
I got so excited when Andie MacDowell popped up.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I don't see her in anything but forever love her kind of thing.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, and she was great in it. Whoever played the dad. Like,
I know that. I was like, it took me a second to figure out who he was, but he's Kittredge is the character's name in the first Mission Impossible. He's like,
oh, right, that guy.
Yeah.
Ethan Hunt.
Right, yeah.
And then, of course, our star, Samara Weaving as Grace, like, God, went all out, carried it. It was fun to watch do anything.
Yeah. I mean, remember we liked her in The Babysitter, but I remember feeling like weird initially, but then realizing she was doing the thing that was necessary for that movie. Mm-hmm. This movie, seeing her now, I was like, fuck, dude, she is really talented.
Yeah.
Like, no holding back, just fucking chewing it up.
And I mean, she was, I think, largely why I kept, was tricking myself into thinking maybe this was a better movie.
1,000% for me too. Yeah, I was just like compelled by her, but yeah. ...
Aside from the casting, just more generalities, the look of it. It was that cool balance of being dark and lit, gritty and slick.
Felt like it was on film, even though I doubt
probably
it was.
that the
that
Alexa
was just sort of what they did. Yeah.
The black orange aesthetic in the house was working for me.
Totally
good shadows.
I love a secret passageway.
Yep. Yeah. So setting. Yeah. The house had that perfect Clue-esque personality. The grounds felt kind of anywhere rich America,
Yeah, I think they did a cool thing too of not getting kind of bored with one location within a relatively confined location.
Because either it'd be like the panic room type thing where sort of the different rooms take on character and you can do that well, or it's like, no, let's sort of then where this is the centerpiece of the scene, this room, then this is, then this is. And yeah, it did flow in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, getting out on the grounds, getting out in the forest, getting into the barn, like those all kind of played well.
Yeah.
What else?
As far as more generalities?
Yeah.
Like for me, there's kind of just enough what I call it, fun idea moments of okay, this is taking it to an extent that feels like great, unique to the film, like the gag in the trailer that I didn't know that I liked of worked for me, of the brother-in-law having to look up on YouTube how to shoot a crossbow. Just that was what he'd do.
It's
and
funny.
Just it was kind of chuckle worthy. Some moments like that.
To get into a little more of a specific, the die-hard aspect of this, where you're watching somebody kind of progressively get beat up and have to still deal with their situation in spite of getting stabbed or shot in the hand or
that's always fun.
I love all that stuff. I love that kind of construct, and the moment of her getting her in the barn, getting her hand shot and a hole in it, and then having to essentially use that to pull herself up because she grabs the rim of the pit the goat pit that she falls into when she's climbing out, and putting the hole over the nail that's at the rim of it is great. Kind of, but on its face value is fucking great, and it I was like, fuck, yeah.
Well, kind of connected to that is I thought it was a good balance of progress and setbacks, where it was just
that's right, yeah. The sort of reversal thing is done fairly well.
Yeah,
throughout.
She figures that she happens. This thing goes well for her, but no, then this happens.
Yep.
The
general story setup I really like. Like, just as a premise, this idea, let's, for a moment, take the Satan worshipping aspect out of it. The idea of rich people having a game that is so sort of like blind to humanity.
It's what is like why I want to watch the Hostel movies again. It's just like just for that story, and why I really wanted to see The Hunt, which hopefully we'll get to see someday soon.
Which one's The Hunt?
That's the other one that was being advertised kind of with this, where it's about it's more like the most dangerous game thing of like rich people. It's supposed to be, I think, like rich liberals hunting. Like,
right, the one
rednecks.
that they pulled because
that's why
shooting.
we hope
we
get to see it.
That's right. That general sort of premise is, I think, just fun to explore, because effectively what it does is it's cathartic for us to watch, a character go through the shit to fight against that thing. And the absurdity of that thing, it makes us, I think we by and large can all relate to being like, we're so fucked by the rich and powerful all the time, and to see somebody in the absurd face of that overcome it is exciting. It feels good. Okay, wait, I want to go on that tangent, but first, really quick, one last sort of generality. It was, thought, good screenwriting term, like fun and games. Few moments of that, like she's hiding in the kitchen, hiding around the middle island, trying not to be heard. You mentioned that when she falls down into the pit in the barn and is trying to get out. Few good little set pieces like that you wanted from this movie, general. But yeah, so now a story about a not rich person, right? And getting in an entanglement with the crazed 1%. So yeah, this is, have you seen that? The Most Dangerous Game is a perfect example. This trope has been around for quite a long time. And so you have, and I thought this did a pretty good level of like, oh, cool, they're actually like making that something consistent throughout. Like, it's not just any car that drives up and then she yells for help and then drives away. It's a sports car. It's a rich person's car. Yeah, and he says, "Get out of the way" or something like that. Which is like trash. Like, yeah, of course that's what he says. The one sister being like on drugs, coked up. And totally like hopeless. Right. It's good to show that if we have, the generality of the rich people looking down on the dope fiends, the heroin addicts, the opioid addicts. Her husband, who has to look shit up on YouTube, it's like, yeah, of course that guy doesn't know how to use a crossbow just on face value is fairly simple mechanics, right? And pull the thing back, pull the trigger. You're good. Him talking about having to fly coach, like that. And then maybe just as a context point too, because this is more on the thematic end of things that I liked was, it's like a statistic of, I was reading some article about empathy, but they can track the more money you have, the lower empathy you have. Jesus, that's depressing. As a generality. Sure, on the bell curve. It's trackable. Yep. What got so cool, when that to see that idea play out in certain ways in this. Like, I loved, this was the part you went up, you didn't catch this part, but one of my favorite parts was when they first entered the game room. I knew I was like, I had to go to the bathroom, and I was like, I gotta go before she pulls the car. Yeah. So I was like, I know it's about to happen, so I gotta go now. But so it's sort of, it was great because it was like entering the game room, which felt like, the sort of almost like the Get Out type room, but specifically where they were crazed hunters. So you had sort of these like insert beauty shots of how they see it. It was like, there's the honorable, their ancestor who like honorably shot a tiger and stuff. Nice. So sort of that trophy hunting bullshit. Yeah, exactly. That's cool. Which reminded me of like, who's it? Like the Jimmy John's founder, someone you see like one of those guys. He does like pictures of himself with dead tigers and rhinos. Even There was that dentist that got lit up on Twitter for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Even the Trump's two sons have had pictures of that.
Right.
People
so
get pretty upset.
What I just said, that I get more money equals lower empathy, that doesn't disclude animals.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
You know, and it was cool to see that, and it's like a way to hold on to the idea, like as hard as they're trying, that there's some sort of nobility in murder or who they are, or just being rich in essence. But then to see that continue as far as then by the end, the dad showing his true colors and like calling her a sacrificial goat or like, no, you know, that kind of thing.
And on the flip side, the aunt is sort of the extreme, like how you get pushed to be the extreme version of that by having some like a time in her life when she actually was getting out of the coldness of the lack of empathy and falling in love with somebody, and having that taken away sort of seals her fate to just be like all in.
Yep.
Right? It doesn't make her go, fuck this, I'm out. She goes, that is who we are. I'm going to take it to the furthest sort of level in how I look at all of this stuff.
Because it was the only way she could justify her person she loved being murdered, is to fully accept this way of life.
I mean, all those things are all really good constructs. It's good setup.
Mm-hmm. And even, also just what I like when they first enter that room is you get the details of, it's like that early 1900s Americana Houdini vibe with the posters and the kind of vintage devil look.
Very cool stuff.
I love that, the idea too, and the game board itself, or the box itself, of just this, you know, harkening back to that time when sort of objects felt like they held power more.
Puzzles.
Yeah. And that when whatever that, even just aesthetically, that sort of pastel look of those old posters, a lot of the time, I really like that.
Let's see. That might be it.
Yeah. Well, I can say I actually...
No, that's not it.
One thing that did kind of keep me going was I liked that they did at least plant the question. Then, like, throughout the movie, you're wondering, as soon as they start saying... oh, well, we have to do it because if not, we're going to get killed ourselves. You kind of perk up and go, what? Oh, how is that going to happen? Why do they think that?
Right.
And then at least, rather than being... I mean, it was at least kept me from like wanting to just be like, I don't want to be here. And again, the other aspects, like the lead, she was great, but as just story wise, I'm like, okay, at least I have that to look forward to.
Yes. Yeah. I'm trying not to criticize that.
Well, why don't we just go ahead and do it? Let's switch to...
Well, let's think. Hang on. There's got to be something else we liked. Maybe. Maybe not. Shit.
Okay.
Let's do it.
What did not work?
It's not ready yet.
Seems to work okay.
No, something important's missing.
What did not work?
I don't think I had seen a horror movie in so long, and it was a bummer that it was a modern one, which is usually better at this. Even the bad modern horror movies, they usually are good about the thing where we aren't yelling at them to like, why didn't she just do this? I think there are 3 instances where I just got so frustrated where it was like, maybe I missed something, but there was the first one where when the husband unlocks the doors,
right?
She's right next to the door to go outside. We see it gets unlocked. She hits the dude in the face, gets her moment of escape,
right,
and runs back into the house rather than out the door.
Yeah, why did she run back into the house there?
Yeah.
I remember thinking at least twice, if not 3 times, she's out.
Yeah.
Like she's gone.
Right.
I mean, actually, one of them makes sense. It was the car one. Once she got in the car, I was like, well, this is fucking done. And then they shut the car down, which I thought was that was an okay scene.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, that was the other section where they're doing that, was her whole outside escape. It's like, okay, I get it. You know, when she's in the fence, they can track the fence. But as soon as she was out of that fence and then into the real forest, It was like,
Oh my
just
God,
run,
yeah.
just go.
Yeah, why are you hiding behind a tree? Get the fuck out of there.
Exactly. Like,
You're in a forest.
and then,
Just run until you get somewhere else.
right. Just, they won't find you.
Yeah, that kind of conceit of like, we can't, like, you fucked up as a writer. If you put her in a place where she literally, all she has to do is run away, you shouldn't have put her in that place in the first place.
Yeah.
Or you give her a problem that forces her or prevents her from just running away.
It's like familiar, but give them like the Doberman pinchers that like,
yeah,
they would have fit perfect in this film.
I know. I was surprised that it wasn't in there actually. The thing that usually keeps a character from just bailing out when they have the chance is somebody else, that meaning somebody that they care about. They go, fuck, I don't want to go back, but I like my better sort of. I mean, I was glad she didn't try to go back to save the tied up husband. I was worried that was going to happen. Right. That's typically what you would see, some version of that. But you could make it justifiable.
So kind of like what did happen, but just do it better, where either someone she kind of trusts, like the brother or the husband, like they lure her out somehow, or like the plot's even further, where the police find her and they're in on it. Like something.
Sure,
I don't know, whatever.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's been done a lot, but fuck it, like
she's written to be this character who's supposed to be like, and it's weird because what they arrived at was a sort of more modern stereotype Friday the 13th level, like smart girl, kind of thing, where it didn't feel like an actual smart person. It was like her performance helped tricked us into kind of maybe thinking it was, but I did not think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really. She's amazing. So let's get that out of the way. The actress is amazing and did this role like. She made the movie watchable.
Samara Weaving.
So take that for what it's worth. She is not the right person for this role in regards to the script.
Well, if the script has that line of she's the kind of attractive of someone you meet at the end of the closing time at a bar.
Yeah, dude, you didn't get that at all. Yeah. Why? Because she's got a tattoo on her finger and on her wrist, like that, like the tiniest little tattoos, like. Oh, now, like, that's it? That's all we get to signify that she's somehow trashy? Like, get the fuck at her. Like, putting her in Converse doesn't mean she's fucking trashy. That means she's fucking hip. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
Well, no, I think, but she was written, I think, to be a hip whatever she's supposed to be.
Here's the thing. You want to make this movie fucking land in 2019? She should not be white. Mm-hmm. And the arrogant presumption of the white upper class saying things like that, like, oh, like the subtext of them saying, oh, she's trashy, or oh, she's this, or she's not smart, or she's that, is just the racist overtone of she's not white.
Yeah.
And that makes them evil in the right way. I think that's actually, to me, I was like, this was written to have it be a person of color.
Maybe they're trying to avoid the Get Out comparison.
That could be, yeah. I mean, I don't. Who
Which
knows?
Is there already?
Sure. Who knows the?
But I don't know. I just like. Yes, I
make her like making her the like prom queen, white, blonde, blue eyed, like insanely attractive version. I think just is it undercuts to me the broader thematic things, and it weakens the foundation of this stuff.
I agree with you, but I don't think that was at the core of its issues for me, because you see them also kind of trying to balance. They were also like, she also at times felt like she was the perfect casting of kind of how they were writing her. Oh, she's, trashy, elements. No, she actually felt more like she was written at a certain point or adjusted or just as much as like the kind of quippy, smart, kind of like fun, like girl next door kind of vibe.
You know what? Maybe it is.
And then
is that we're missing the context of her not in the wedding dress.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have helped push this idea along. Like,
well, it was for me, it's like this, the issues were more on the level of like kind of what the dialogue is emblematic of, where you can hear it's not ringing true, the dialogue, but it can just convince you it is because it sounds kind of like hip, familiar, fun, someone we're susceptible to liking. It's like smart, but not actually smart. You know, it feels like it's, okay, they've met people who they're sort of writing it after, but you can feel the disconnect where it feels more like this is akin to sort of if you're trying to write a modern Friday the 13th film and you kind of want people who are emblematic of sort of new tropes we haven't killed off in a movie yet. Like, it felt like it was on that level of character.
I get what you're saying. I think there's a trap that they've fallen into that they're trying to have two things. Like, in a way, she almost should be the one who sees through all of this and is skeptical of it.
You were right.
Oh my God, why does that word sound so weird?
You had it right.
Skeptical. Anyway, so what they do is they give that to the boyfriend or the fiance, that he's the one who kind of knows the secret and whatever, and that's fine. But like, if she's such an outsider, she's sort of fish out of water. Like, if she comes from a background that like this is all like wildly new and different, we never really get a sense that she feels that way.
No, the movie never slow downs enough to sort of show you the nuance of how they'd sort of be processing certain situations.
Right. The early setup that we get is her in front of the mirror smoking a cigarette, and it's like, ooh, well, it's just because she smokes a cigarette, she's a rebel or something. And then he comes in and kind of says, like, I'm giving you an out right now. And she, she just sort of says, of course, that's stupid, and no, I'm all in. But like, yeah, we never get to see her kind of roll her eyes at this shit. She's a little too, doe-eyed, I guess, like just sort of, oh, wow, look at all this.
Well, it felt like they were spending too much attention on just kind of doing how do we fit an exposition in a cool way through character? Yeah. And like, they have that super obvious dialogue that's exactly that of, what's it going to be like to marry into a dynasty, or what do you call it? Da, da, da. And they just kind of give you all these things in a really exposition-y way.
Yeah.
But it was like as if it's good enough that we wouldn't quite like they were doing a tool in screenwriting to help hide it, but then that's it. It's not that doesn't make it automatically work.
Right. And it didn't, like, kind of like the Satan thing, it didn't tip its hat to the audience enough, I think, to have us go, uh-oh, she is fucked. Mm-hmm. It's middling this line of, should we be given information before her, and then part of the fun is watching her, find those things and have it revealed to her? You
mean aside from going and knowing what the movie is?
That we all know that. Like, that's I think that's part of the problem. We all know what the movie is going in. Everybody knows but her, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like we needed more to if you go in knowing that, I think we need to know more about the why before she does. And it could be like just before a little bit, but I don't know, something just didn't line up for me in that.
Yeah.
There was another point I was trying to get to.
Sorry.
Shit, what was it? I don't know. What else?
I mean, I guess to try like broad and then zoom in, like with with the exception of like what I mentioned, liking of just sort of, what's going to be the answer to this question of why they think they're going to be killed if they don't kill her. Mm-hmm. It just got like less interesting as it went on. It was
the part of the problem, I think, is she is actually as seemingly active as she may be. She's not. She's totally passive to everything.
Yeah.
She makes no decisions. She has no revelations whatsoever.
Did you read all these articles out there that's like how Ready or Not turned a wedding dress into a powerful tool for feminism and murder? Like
she never got there.
No.
She fights to survive internally.
How Ready or Not pulled off the bloodiest and funniest ending of the year. We'll get to that. Sorry. I was just mad at all these good reviews.
Doesn't... You can't... I just don't like... Like, let's use the Die Hard sort of example. Mm-hmm. Why is Die Hard so fucking good? Mm-hmm. It does two things right off the bat. It sets up that he's having issues with his wife, right? Great. We know where his sort of internal struggle is. And then it does some external fun things where in the opening scene, we see that he's got kind of irony built in. He is a hard-nosed cop from New York. He's going to LA and sort of is judgy about that, but he's scared of flying. He's like super nervous, like clenching down. And the douchey sort of LA suit guy next to him is like, hey man, here's all you got to do. It's very LA sort of like 80s LA guy is like, man, just listen. When you get to the hotel, take your shoes off, take your socks off, and squeeze your toes in the carpet. So you're setting up him taking his shoes and his socks
right,
off.
We all know the scene,
out, right?
What is this with this movie?
We don't get any of that kind of stuff that pays off later that gives us a really clear sense of who she is. Mm-hmm. And we don't have anything that like kind of wraps back around to go, oh fuck. That's amazing that we're getting these sort of like it's external and internal wraparounds.
It's interesting because at first you're right. Because at first I thought it was just that we weren't getting the catharsis moments of her like, oh my god, she just knocked off the ant's leg or something. You know, I'm like, oh, that's not in there at all, which is true. But also, what's going on is what you just said: that there's no setup for that catharsis we want. Like, even if she did get a successful hit or whatever. I would have just been like, well, I what did this built up from? Like, what was I didn't get any sort of tension that was then paying off in the first place. Yeah, we never like even Starry Eyes when we spend most of the movie seeing that the other girl be shitty to the lead. Once we get to a point where she has a chance to kill her and then kills her, we go. Yeah, we get it. We know why. There's none of even that. Mm-hmm. She has no relationship whatsoever, even in the smallest of doses, to any of the family. Yeah, which then could be... But there's a way where you could do that well. It's like then play up that separation in a way that we see that being the unique situation, you know? Yeah, you're like, you know the feeling of you walk into a room and you're like, oh, fuck, they've been talking about me, or maybe not even that it's you, but you just have this sense of like, I'm left out of this something and like the record has scratched and like the room has stopped when I walked in. It's like, oh, I'm not privy to something and I'm not going to be. Yeah. There's not even really any of that where we're in her sort of mindset of like, what the fuck? Right. It was this weird middle ground where it's like, okay, you have Andy McDowell and the other brother and sister. They're like kind of trying to reach out to her and want things to go well. It seems like she's met Daniel before. Yeah. Like they seem to have a rapport. But it was just all this kind of like setup that didn't have any substance to it or didn't have any through line or payoff or didn't have, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a product a little bit of, I guess what you could call kind of surface writing, where it's like you're writing for the gag, but you're not laying groundwork underneath it. Which that is this movie in a nutshell for me.
Yeah. Like, for example, the gag of the 3 servants getting killed. It's in the moment, maybe you're sort of like, oh shit.
I had this
But
stuff,
it means nothing.
Right, I had this stuff exactly. I like had the bigger bullet point, just the humor just did not click like more than it did, like by a huge margin. Like, and that was the example that I thought of immediately was, when that servant gets hit in the mouth by accident. It's like the second time we've had an accidental death like that. And it's
at the hands of the same person.
Right, where it's supposed to elicit this, like, exactly as you said, this, oh shit, wow, crazy. But it just felt weird and forced, and I was just kind of like, okay, was that what?
I mean, if you're trying to sort of hammer home this lack of empathy and lack of, like, that they're so disconnected, like, their reaction should be, I don't know. There kind of was like the sister is sort of like, and they're like, oh man, she was my favorite. It just doesn't. It's not a joke. It doesn't feel like anything.
Yeah, it was empty.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how you make it better, but we don't know those servants in any way. We have no context for. Maybe that's the point, is that they're sort of but no, they even say a thing of like, there's like a little side note of the servant being maybe like a hired just for the husband.
It is hard to pick out exactly why. I mean,
it never. There's a lot of loose, never really getting to a thing kind of stuff.
If like when people say it's hard to nail that balance of horror comedy, I feel like this is a good example of seeing one try and fail. Where it's okay, so it's supposed to be a fun, holy shit, it's like shocking moment, and then it's not. But why exactly? It's okay because it's a horror and there's a comedy, and I don't know.
Well, I'm realizing a thing too just now. So this is, quote unquote, this would be classified like in the old sort of terms in theater. This is a farce. This is that is the type of story this is. And farces are sort of known to be like, very fast paced, constantly people running in and out of rooms and like going through different doors and coming out and capturing, one person comes in and sees another person having sex with the maid, and then, they now know a secret, and then that secret sort of swirls around and everybody's in a door and out a door, and it's funny and fast and loose and crazy. That should exist in this, right? It's the perfect setup for that. And yet what we get is very, very few times people kind of just skirting around things like taking the secret passageway just in time to get away, or like going around a corner just in time, or like almost being caught but not quite being caught. What we get is, she's over here. Bunch of people run into a room. Where'd she go? Damn it! What do we do now?
They just
stand
yell
there
and swear at each other, and that's supposed to be funny.
Yeah, that's boring.
So like that, So to keep trying to use an example, the moment of that one, the one servant getting hit in the face. I'm trying to think so there's definitely some, I think, larger undercurrent thing that makes that not work. But I wonder how much it also just has to do sort of on the micro level of the handling of the moment. Because you just kind of like, there's no like build up to the moment itself.
You're right.
Yeah. If there's no tension of like, we don't fall into kind of a fun rapport, and then like we don't feel that surprise when she appears, that then gets sort of the payoff of, oh, we felt that surprise along with her, so then she shot her by accident.
It's the lack of built-in anticipation,
right? Or to like put it, if the joke was to be that, oh wow, this is the second one that just happened when she just did a first one, then that has to have more attention paid to it, as far as like in the sort of filmmaking surrounding the moment itself.
Yeah, like traditionally, wouldn't you see that the way to do that scene would be you do the first one, which is just a straight up, oh, she shot the wrong person. And then the next one, maybe you see I hate calling her servant. What are we doing? She's a maid, or I
mean, they're both horrible things.
She's a house person. Jesus, whatever. So like
in the context of this movie,
yeah. So you see her coming, and then like you could intercut her like
the help.
The help. Yeah, she's about to arrive, and in intercut you could have the exchange of the crossbow, and then the sister could be swinging the crossbow around, talking about something else, and everybody's ducking. You know, and like just getting that much of like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Then it settles down and you think, okay, it's under control. She's fine. She's no longer a threat. And then the servant walks in and then the trigger goes off. We would see that coming. We'd be like, oh, fuck. Oh, we've dodged. Now we're fine. Now we're not fine. Now we're fine. Okay, we're really fine.
Yeah.
No, we're not fine. She just killed her.
So it is this.
That's.
It feels like they kind of justify their way around that by being like, oh, but because it's so out of nowhere, it's just, what the fuck? This movie's crazy. How funny.
Yeah, and they're leaning on the joke of her being upset that she can't do anything right.
But like,
we don't care about her. She's an asshole.
So to sort of, yeah. I think another example way to explore what we're saying here is like this humor falling flat, and that's supposed to cause this, oh my god, awesome reaction. The ending, it's like a good way to break down all that, because you have, just to skip ahead, you have to, what's supposed to be it's supposed to be like a fun what the hell when of the exploding and then the ghost appearing, like all those things. So those are the two things to pick apart. I think
that ghost appearing is not good. That's some, what was Benicio del Toro one?
To start, I don't know.
That movie we watched out in the desert.
We watched a Benicio del Toro movie?
Guillermo del Toro. The Guillermo del Toro one.
Yeah.
It's the same level of ghost.
Right. So,
image.
but to start with the people blowing up. So it's exactly of this kind of like misappropriated use of the shock humor, where it's not looked at like in the context. So like if the whole movie we have this question in place, oh, are they going to actually die or not? Is this Sate Pact that they made real? Like what direction is that going to go? You don't.
Oh.
And then when it plays out in such a way where they all think, oh, this actually maybe isn't real. We're still here. The sun's come up and we're still alive. Then we just feel like played with and teased in not a fun way. Like you could still have it happen immediately without having that chunk and have it still be shocking. Does that make sense? When they all explode, you can still have that. If they were just going for that being shocking, you didn't need to have the whole extraneous beat of them thinking that maybe they won't explode.
I don't know if I agree.
Because like I got excited for so this is the direction it's going. This is trying to say something and do something fun with the film now, where here they are not exploding. I don't know.
I thought the same. I was like, I would have thought it was much better if that's literally how it ended.
Yeah.
If it had just been like, because that's more to the point of the sort of broad idea of like the upper class being so sort of convinced of their bullshit that they'll go to these great lengths, and that it actually is just bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit.
Yeah, see that, and
I would have been very pleased if they had been like, shit.
So that's what I was on board for once that happened. But then all of a sudden they explode again. They actually explode, and I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I guess it's actually this.
Right, so it undercuts
the shock that they're going for.
Yeah.
Like, which I don't know. It just felt like a sort of in the moment not handling it right. Like, if what they're going for is it to be truly just like, whoa, shocking, it just didn't accomplish that. I don't know. Or so, it accomplished it and it felt a way that felt cheap and manipulative.
Right. So yes, it's cheap. I think you could do it in a much, much more pleasing, way. The whole movie is sort of a set of what's that mousetrap game? What's it called when you have a thing?
It's called Mousetrap.
Well, yeah, but it's based on the like. There's a guy who made these.
Oh,
things.
I know what you're talking about. The whatever machine. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
It's like you start at one end and you tip a marble and the marble goes and then hits a string and then blah blah blah. Whatever that's called. The whole movie could really be that, right? And so. And it almost is. It's like the crossbow thing is kind of that. It's like they're using these antiquated tools and sort of fucking them up. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If we get to the moment where we've been told that it's all bullshit, and she's like, "Okay, now what? I'm gonna go."
Yeah.
If they all are like, well. If they all accept that they were wrong in that moment, and then as they're kind of saying, okay, we're just gonna go on about our lives, and one by one they fall into accidental deaths that are fucked up and funny, then it still leaves the question. They could start being like, oh my God. The pact with Satan is true. See, that person just got killed. And everybody else would be like, that was an accident.
Yeah.
And then the next person goes down in another fun, interesting way. You know, like something
We've already set
up.
up they're inept with these weapons.
Right. And if we get this domino effect where it's like the question still exists of whether or not it's Satan or it's just them being asshole and dipshit and getting their comeuppance, that would be much more pleasing if she's literally like, walking through them falling over each other and dying accidentally,
right.
in quotations.
It keeps up that fun. It answers the question without answering it. It's fun.
And then if you want to answer the question, you can answer it for her, but not for the rest of them. They need to all be dead.
Yeah.
And then she can see the ghost.
So I think you're
fine.
You're spot on for how to make that exploding ending or how to make that ending work. So yeah, forget the explaining. I think for the movie as is, but I think in order for them to get it to work for what they wanted with the shock of the exploding and the ghost, you need to set up in that very first intro scene.
Yep.
Did that kid, they mention it, but like, let us see and plant that question in our head the whole movie. Did that kid actually just see a ghost? Or set up somehow for us, is this a supernatural thing or not that we're supposed to be paying attention to? So that way, which never really happens. So that way when the exploding finally happens, we're kind of like tense with it. Oh, you know, are they going to explode or are they not? Rather than it just feeling like, and then that way when we see the ghost too, it just felt like so cheap, where it's like trying to cause a rage. Oh my God, this is the craziest movie I've ever seen. Yeah.
It's just so disconnected.
Wow. But no, it's exactly.
I'm like,
it needed that.
I mean, her reaction is actually kind of the right reaction, where she's like, I'll be damned kind of thing. Like, oh, look at that. Fucking ghost. I guess that caps out that
as it's
night.
Supposed to be like, oh yeah, I don't know. It just did not land at all.
I
that
totally
beat. It just
agree.
felt totally not set up. You had to have that question there throughout versus just kind of being mentioned at some point casually.
Yeah, I think this is kind of one of the things that you hear a lot in constructing a good story is like, your beginning and your end should have something to do with each other.
Yeah.
You know, the opening scene, end scene, maybe.
Right. So it felt like,
have
oh
some
no,
connectivity.
this movie's it's camp, it's crazy. We're just gonna try to turn it up to 11, and that's what's gonna be the ending. It's like you can do that, but you can't just do that.
The pacing of the trailer is what the pacing of the movie should have been.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I mean, it's
just fucking boom, boom, boom.
As a short film, this could have been way better.
Sure, yeah.
I got mad, like, based on like I mentioned, the opening. The older sister, like, we see her witness we see her go through the death of her husband. It felt like that was going to set her up to be the example in the film where, we see her three-dimensionality somehow based on the kind of that was played kind of heavy at the beginning. Oh, we're seeing her. And then now we see this is who she is. Oh, let's do something with that we've seen this like extreme opposite sides with her. But no, they just sort of left her at caricature for the whole second part of the movie.
Well, and remind me, how does she's twice on the it's Daniel who gets her out of being killed on the table the first time because he poisons everybody. Yeah, that it's muddy.
I thought for it being a sort of in-mansion cat and mouse setup, we got very little of that. We already kind of mentioned that with the kind of character she actually is, they wrote her to be. But it was like that never, like when, remember the dad says, what's happening? She's picking us off one by one. We're making a fool of us. No, she's just, there's this extreme happenstance and luck happening. There's no fun of that kind of like
at that point, only the servants have been picked off too. Right. So it's like what he's saying doesn't even make sense.
Right. Like, oh yeah, this was a positive review I read where it says, Grace is resourceful and clever, and she fights her new in-laws with hand-to-hand combat, not with hand-to-hand combat, but by playing them off one another. How does she play them off one another?
Yeah, she doesn't. Just because she says to Daniel at one point, like, you know, I know you're a good person.
No, it's like she happens to walk out into a hall where there's both are, so she ducks and the one side shoots the other,
right.
And she gets away. Like, it's not, that's not playing them off one another.
No.
She doesn't make a sound. She doesn't trap one of them and make them yell something. Like, there's no playing them. Like, what are
she also has no, there's no setup of a skill set on her part, which.
Right. Where is she resourceful and clever? She's just dealing with the things in front of her.
Actually, one of the most resourceful things she does is a reversal where she pulls the gun off the wall and grabs the show bullets that we don't realize are show bullets.
Right, but that's like the given thing that our modern audiences want. Like, why don't you just go and get the gun from the room? Right. Go get the axe from the room. I wouldn't say that's...
But even that joke doesn't land.
Right.
Where the guy's like, oh, those are just for show.
I don't think it's supposed to be a joke. I think it's supposed to be just another, oh, we're smarter than you audience kind of lame moment.
Maybe that's why it sucked.
Well, no, I'm saying to have her be resourceful and clever, if the audience is already thinking, just go get a weapon from the thing, that makes sense. To then be a character that rings true as resourceful and clever, you have to be them clever compared to us. Make us go, ooh, that's clever.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's resourceful.
We don't really do that. No. Oh, so I was going to say, I think a good example of that is the hole in the hand and the nail moment.
Mm-hmm.
Where I thought you saw it kind of coming. She's dangling. They show us the nail. We know that she's got a hole in her hand. We know she's about to fall. Resourceful to me would be her looking at the nail and going, fuck, I have to do this. And then actively putting the nail through her hand, through the hole, as a tool to pull herself up. But the way they play it is just like, the hole in the hand meant nothing. She could have just slammed her hand down on a nail and it's the same result. But they don't go for the actual, like, she's smart enough to go, this is gonna hurt, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm going to fucking survive.
Yeah.
And use it as a purposeful tool.
There's moments, it plays like, oh, this character, she's tough, like when she's squeezing through the gate and, getting scratched up. She just has to keep moving forward no matter what. We can relate to that. You're just kind of dealing with the circumstances as they come. It's better to get a big gash in your side than get killed. She's going for it. But that is not resourceful, clever.
No, and it also, you could make that mean something too if we've been given any sort of sense that she's had a fucking really hard life and has just a super high tolerance for pain because of what she's gone through. If you give us that, then when we get to these points and she's faced with having to be tough again, we go, fuck, I know she's got it in her. Like, I'm rooting for you.
Mm-hmm.
And in this version, we're just sort of like, ow.
Well, where I was rooting for her was toward the beginning when after it's all going down and she and the husband meet each other the first time and he's like trying to explain and talk her down and apologize to her. he actually was successful in like apologizing to her and like getting her like, what the hell? Like she should have been. That made me so mad. If she agrees to work with him, make it be because she just wants to get out and survive, not because she's actually like, oh, my husband who just set me up to be killed, actually, maybe he is still a good, like, maybe I can forgive him. Or have him explain, like, later on have him explain or something how, you know, it is life and death for him or something like that. Like, I don't know. It's just that whole thing of him getting her winning over and apologize was like, are you serious? No, she's better than this.
I mean, shit, the most quote unquote resourceful thing that anybody does is him sawing the bed frame up with his handcuffs.
Right.
And that's
done.
lame.
Great. It's just, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
And then their exchange there where he's trying to win her over and actually does. That wasn't even good setup for when he did eventually betray her. Like, where did that come from? That didn't make any ring true or wasn't a fun reversal or twist or anything.
What pushed him over the edge?
Yeah. It seemed so out of character at that point.
The fact that did she kill his mom? I think that's what it was. She killing his mom is what is supposed to have pushed him over the edge.
Do more to show he's the mama's boy then, like.
Right. Which is the opposite of what they show. They show that the mom is like desperate for him to come back.
And he says, that's not true. Yeah, because he literally says to the mom, I would rather kill you than save her. But that's not true at all. Like,
yeah, it's messy. It's
like, I thought it was messy too, like as far as what they were exactly trying to do to her, because it's set up, they just got to kill her before dawn. They have an axe, a gun, like they're clearly trying to kill her, shoot her in sight. But then once it actually gets to it, and
there's a line that says like, don't kill her, we just maim her so that we can have the ritual.
Right. So where'd that come from?
Like what you think those weapons aren't gonna just fucking kill? Like what are we?
Was the ant just gonna try to just
an arm?
Hurt her a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, that is really fucking...
Why don't they all have trank guns and nets or some crap? I don't know.
The butler has a trank gun.
Yeah.
Just hand out trank guns, man, if you need her for the ritual.
It's like, they were trying to have their cake and eat it too, with just sort of the visual of, she's grabbing the axe now, all right. But rather than have a sort of fun fracas of her fighting the ant versus, with the axe, no, that was all just for show, it turns out, because they weren't even supposed to kill her.
Yeah, maybe you could make some sort of justification rule that says, like, if you kill her before dawn, we're good. But if we get past, if the sun is starting to come up, then we can't just kill her. We have to do this extra thing, which is this whole other fucking ritual, which then gives us a secondary ticking clock.
Yeah.
Which is, usually a good device.
You can see why they
but it's just
do
like,
that. That just feels so throwaway trying to put Band-Aids on.
Yeah, it's convoluted.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How about the ending moment is indicative of a lot of what didn't work for this film for me, where she sits down, has her cigarette, and then there's the final quip. What happened here? In-laws. Like, oh my God, come on.
Yeah, the movie's not called In-Laws.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's like as if that's the old, because they're all those,
What she should have said is fucking rich people. Mm-hmm. Or something like that.
She already said that once during the movie,
That's
though.
right. Oh, yeah. So
that's why they couldn't use it then. I don't know. Just know what the movie is tonally and then make it work for that. Like, you'll figure it out. But that wasn't good. And then just to sort of maybe get deeper, like, as just sort of the disconnect with the filmmakers and, I don't know, just where we're at and how you execute the movie they're trying to execute. It really felt to me like her smoking the cigarette they thought like looked cool.
I think a lot of this movie is what they think looks cool.
But like smoking a cigarette hasn't looked cool since like 1999. Like,
what?
You only look like you're just an addict? Like, and you, sorry, I know you smoke, maybe you can,
no, I totally agree.
Can you speak to this as being a previous smoker?
Okay, I will. The reason, you're going to see how fucking shallow I was when I was 18 years old. There are two reasons I started smoking cigarettes. Number one, I thought it looked cool. Number two, everybody around me smoked. So when I got to college, everybody smoked. And so it just became an uneventuality because I was like, that's what we do. That's what everybody is doing. We all sit around and, you know, in our dorm rooms and smoke cigarettes and shoot the shit. And like, I had already had the idea of it looking cool based on things like, you know, like James Dean and like the 50s and fucking Die Hard and like, you know, these the iconic imagery of that had been pushed so hard in my, the 80s childhood.
But once it gets beyond that into...
So, but yeah, as with anything, as we moved through time, smoke and me being fucking addicted to cigarettes, me trying to quit and realizing all of the grossness and having the world outside of that being like, yeah, it's not cool anymore. It's gross. It smells. Very few people do it. We've banned it from most places. Like, you intellectually go, yeah, it's not cool. You move right on.
But then what you're told is, yes, but you don't know how it is to be an addict. Like, you know, I feel like that's the response.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, that's
why I want you to speak to it.
It was difficult to quit, sure, but you know, I did it.
Right.
It's not the end of the world.
Right.
You know, so
I just get frustrated when I if I have a friend who smokes and it's just like, you don't know how to offer any. You are not your opinion doesn't matter because you don't know how it is. You know.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I was just sided with, I like am addicted to nicotine.
Yeah.
I'm not defending it at all. It sucks.
Right.
I would much rather not smoke than smoke, especially today in today's world where it's,
right,
not a largely acceptable or cool thing.
I guess because you're someone who feels that sort of entombment and pressure of the times very much.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I spent a lot of time, a younger me spent a lot of time caring about how I fit in.
Right.
And like trying to acclimate? Yeah.
Well, it's
self to whatever environment I'm in.
Different topic I could speak at length about.
Sure.
But to sort of talk about in movie terms, like now it's cool when we see like Stranger Things and Hopper and Winona Ryder, they're like both smoking cigarettes. Like when we view these now when it's in period pieces, we see, oh, this was because as fun as malls were in the 80s, as we had these fun poppy things too, no, people are like seriously just as depressed as ever kind of thing, and not knowing any better, this is how you act it out. Like it's a completely different lens.
Right. We get to reflect on how things were in comparison to how they are now and go, oh shit, look at that.
Well, yeah, it's being used now. Winona Ryder and the Hopper or whatever, we do it because we're seeing it as a vice, not as, now they're looking cool. Right. So to have this in like a 2019 movie where it's like, yeah, I'm sitting down and having my cigarette. Am I missing something?
She should have been smoking a J is what she should have been
right.
That would have made more sense.
But am I missing? Was there something deeper, or can you defend as a cigarette smoker?
No, I can't defend it. It feels like the people who wrote and directed this are stuck in the 20-year-old version of Tim outlook of the world. Converse. Cool.
Or is it supposed to be, because I could see it being as
cool.
Like if smoking's
hot blonde cool.
If smoking's inherently selfish, I could see it be as, she's doing something for herself, no matter how destructive it is. Maybe that would be kind of the only way I could see it, but like,
yeah, I mean, I think yes. Okay, actually, I can speak to that. So like, I quit smoking a bunch of times, and then eventually something in your life compels you to, usually the excuse is like, I'm so stressed out, fuck it, I'm just gonna have a cigarette. A lot of the time for me it was like go through a breakup, and then you're just like, what the fuck? Who gives a shit? You're just kind of depressed, and you go to a thing that is comforting. That I can understand. The idea of like, I'm going to have a cigarette in this moment because I just went through a really fucked up thing. But if you're going to do that, you make her somebody who has quit and does not smoke and has been offered cigarettes a couple times, and she's been like, yeah, I'm a little stressed out right now, but I'm better than that now. I've moved on. I don't smoke anymore. So that at the end, after going through some really horrible shit, she finally goes, fuck it. I am going to have this one cigarette because I fucking deserve it. Mm-hmm. That would make more sense to me. But we start the movie with her smoking. Even then, still, that's where my mind was going. But even then, still, I don't know if that connotation of like, I don't know. It still doesn't seem like I still can't even like up to the point you just said. That still can't make the jump to she's cool for me. No, and I don't. That's I think the difference in the distinction of how they looked at it and how it could have maybe worked. Mm-hmm. Like there's how they looked at it was, this is just cool. It looks cool. In-laws. Right. And that's too shallow. It's kind of antiquated. Yeah. You know? Like kind of. Yeah. So, you know, like when I thought it was cool was 20 fucking years ago. Yeah. So I always remember my friend, I remember he like smoked for a period in like the 2000s, and then I noticed he wasn't smoking, and he said like, dude, yeah, McDuffie, it's 2013. No one fucking smokes anymore. Right. And I'm like, yeah, great. But it was just fun to see that that was all he needed. That was like the last 10 years of me going back and forth, quitting, and then getting back and being like, fuck, I need to not be smoking. Right. And I think I say that stupid. It's gross. He said like 2013 or 14, and we're 5 years past that. Right. Now. Right. Well, the only last little thing I had was even though he did a great job, the guy who played the husband Alex like just fell out of place just casting wise compared to the rest of the cast. Yeah, I like that actor. He's really good at a very specific thing, which is almost the thing in this movie. Mm-hmm. Arrogant, sort of often uptight. He's in the show *Halt and Catch Fire*. I couldn't really pick up any traits from him. No, I know. In this, he seemed like just like a non-entity. But yeah, it was how the character was written, and they kind of got someone who can play a blank slate. Yeah. Again, no dig at the actor. I think was really good for what he was given, but it's very out of place. Was it supposed to be maybe it's like, oh, he's innocuous enough I could just trust him? I don't know. Maybe. I've just always found him to be off-putting in the characters that I've seen him do. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's part of his casting is that he's a bit slimy at times, and he can be sincere, but there's always this undercurrent. And that would have been perfect for if they had done that reversal of where he's actually betraying her at the end. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's all I got. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have either. I mean, I guess the final thing is just sort of like we kind of mentioned, just the weaving in of the satanic stuff. Just they never got there. Mm-hmm. There's a goat pit, and there's references to doing goat sacrifices as a kid. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. It felt very disconnected. Yeah. I wanted to know more, like give me more, like have her discover these things. Like her falling into the goat pit doesn't actually tell her anything. There's never moments I was made like, out of why it. Is that? What is that? Like when we first enter the barn with all the goats, there's no like, whoa, goats. It doesn't give us the moment. It's like, oh wow, here are goats. So maybe we're kind of making you make the connection of connecting it to sacrifice. No, it's kind of like she's there. We should have set it up early. Yeah. Early in the movie, they should have walked by the goat fucking barn, and she'd be like, wow, your family's really into goats. Like, what the fuck's that all about? And he can make up some excuse, and then when we get back there, we could be like, ooh. I mean, that's true, but even if they weren't doing that, just in the moment, just how you shoot the goats themselves, you kind of give them weight to sort of then these deserve weight rather than like, oh, she's just in a barn with goats. Yeah, get a fucking wide lens in the goat face, a bunch of different ones, and have it be this, like, what the fuck is this?
Right. Exactly. It was just always, however, when they were doling out the Satan stuff, it was just kind of like, yeah, it didn't feel strategically used how they're doling out the information, like you said, if they were discoveries on her and our part versus just kind of like, oh, okay, wait, so they mentioned the word Satan or something? Oh, okay.
Let us see the fucking pentagram table slab of some sort. Like, let her find that and be like, what is this? Yeah. Like, what the fuck is this? And, or, you know, something. Give us just a little more of what the fuck the Satan part is. Because, honestly, until they said, they were about to say, Hail Satan, I was not even really making that connection.
Yeah.
I just thought it was some pact with this other guy, LaBelle.
Yeah. Okay, can we do the next section?
Yeah.
You good for it? All right.
Good.
Things of note.
Things of note!
This should be interesting.
Okay, I mean, I guess maybe now we got to tell the story after we saw it. Tim's went insane. I'd never seen Tim's brain break so much. We were walking back. Tim was like, oh, Margot Robbie's so good. I'm like, yeah. Oh, did you finally see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? No, I'm talking about this movie we just saw.
Like, what do you mean? She was great.
I'm like, Tim, that's not her.
And I go, yes, it is.
No, it wasn't, Tim.
Yes, it is.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it is. And I go, why are you doing this?
Yeah. It's like, this isn't a joke. You aren't being funny.
Why are you saying that it's not when it is?
What did your brain do when you saw on the internet that it wasn't her?
I just couldn't process it. I had so fully convinced myself even before we went, like the first time I saw the trailer, I was like, damn, Margot Robbie in this, or Robbie or whatever, in this kind of movie, that's fun.
And we had seen The Babysitter too with Samara Weaving.
Dude, I looked it up. There are side-by-sides of the two of them on the internet that are like, holy shit.
Yeah. I'll give it to you. They look a lot alike. But what's just so funny was that like you couldn't, like you were convinced I was just lying or couldn't have been.
I just was like, why are you doing this?
Anyway, it was pretty funny.
The thing that I kept the whole movie, I was like, God, she's so good at covering up her Australian accent. I have no idea where Samara Weaving's from.
I think Samara Weaving's Australian too.
Yeah, I think that's what was making selling it that it was Margot so much to me, is that you can see that or I was under the impression that you could tell that she was doing an American accent at times. And I was like, just inferred the obvious to me because I already had in my head that it was this other Australian actress.
Yeah.
God, it was embarrassing. Shocking.
I've recommended it before, but the Bite newsletter by Shudder, it's great resource. Oh, yeah. They had an article about this movie they linked to. It was something about 1%, blah, blah, blah. What was it? Oh, yeah, just talking about how, this is when we're looking at, horror films from this era now, like we'll see that sort of horror with the 1% is a thing. It's a subgenre now,
Sure.
That's the article.
Yeah, that makes sense.
On Vanity Fair, how the 1% became horror's favorite villains. Mm-hmm. The latest entry in a horror subgenre that's grown increasingly popular for understandable reasons. But I think what I found thing of note is they sort of like with a parenthetical and a question mark or tried to coin a term for this subgenre.
Uh-oh.
Do you have any guesses?
Oh man.
I'm curious how you would coin it. Society is one of these,
Rich.
Close.
Rich.
wealth exploitation.
That doesn't quite seem like it's appropriate.
Great. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to throw it out there to see if it would stick or not to the world. The only other thing I had was just I was very
that feels sympathetic to the wealthy.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're the ones
like
being exploited.
wrong.
It should be called not, but they aren't poor necessarily.
No, I know. Mass exploitation. The masses.
Yeah.
The rest of us.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll come up with something great.
The only other thing I had was on the Wikipedia. I was very tickled seeing on the side in the credits how it says distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures.
I wonder if this was part of the Disney buying up all the Fox properties.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, that's fun.
What else? What do you got?
Nothing really. We kind of talked about it.
Okay.
Adam Brody. Yeah. He's fun. It's nice to see him around again.
He was from what show?
Oh my God.
Is it the
something?
OC?
Yeah, that sounds right. Something in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
He was also in What I'm Gonna Recommend Dead.
Well, let's move to that then. How about
Okay.
that? We finish up this. What are recommendations?
Let's do it. So I was gonna, because of him and his showing up in the world again, it made me think of he kind of has a end cameo-ish type moment in the new Shazam movie, which the reason I would recommend it is that it's directed by
Wait,
guy
sorry,
who's
you recommended what? You recommended
Shazam is the name of the movie. It came out last summer.
You already recommended that.
No, I didn't. I looked.
I swear you did.
No, I think I just talked about it.
Okay.
But the director is the guy who did Lights Out and got a bunch of acclaim for that.
No, you did.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
episode
fuck.
33, Calvert.
God damn it. Okay, so I'll do a different one. But Adam Brody's in that anyway.
Should I
looked. I missed it. Okay.
I mean, if you loved it that much, I guess you can technically recommend
No,
it
I don't want to
again.
do. I don't want to do it again.
Okay, I'll pick the only things I've watched recently at all is a TV show on Netflix called Terrace House. It's a Japanese reality show. And it's the reality show whenever you see those stupid reality shows where it's like Big Brother forcing these situations. When I'd be privy to those, I'd always go, just cut it with all the crap. Just like film them. Just get them together and then just show them. Like whatever happens, like conflict will arise and it'll be more interesting because it's kind of like on their own progression level. So that's exactly what this is. It's this like Japanese well shot reality show, Terrace House, and it's fun. The conflict that arises. It takes a long time to get to a lot of the times, but it's great. And it's fascinating to watch like Japanese people and how they kind of date differently and approach kind of like thinking at life differently and kind of, you know, the very general terms. And there's a bunch of different seasons, I guess, on there on Netflix that are called different things. Since I have to specify, I'll say Terrace House Boys and Girls in the City is the one to watch and start
Wow.
with.
Sounds scary.
It's the one takes place in Tokyo.
All right. Well, then I was gonna go off of the sort of the type of movie this is and recommend Dead You're Next. But I already did that one too. So I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna recommend Dead The Collector.
Okay.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
It's sort of got that same like, it's like Home Alone. Lots of traps and got to get away from the bad guy in a house kind of thing, which I think is really fun. Mouse, cat and mouse type-y thing.
I like the sequel better.
I don't think I watched the sequel, so that's cool. I'll check that one out, the sequel as well.
All right, where'd that hat at?
There. I think it's on that shelf right there. Oh, no, it's right there. It's right there. I knew I put it somewhere close.
Whose turn is it?
shit. I think it's mine.
Who pulled the Beyond?
I think you did. Yeah, you did. You did. This one. Oh, by our best friend, Dario Argento.
Another Giallo movie, Tim?
Phenomena.
Great.
Now we can sing this Sesame Street thing.
We're going to run out of these Italian horror movies at some point. But I mean, we always hear about them, so I feel like I do want to see them all at some point.
I mean, I'm down. I like them.
Opera was great.
Opera was so good.
But just I haven't liked the other ones. But it's always fascinating, so...
We are getting pretty close to having to refill this.
Cool.
There's like maybe 15 left.
Yeah. Well, we got a bunch more.
I know.
That I'd refill it with. Okay, well, until then, you can find us at dismemberinghorror.com. We're on all the podcast platforms.
Yep. All of them.
Please review us on iTunes.
Yeah.
If it's a 5-star review.
Yeah, that's helpful, right?
Yeah, we could use that. Follow our Instagram at dismemberinghorror.
Email us at dismemberinghorror@gmail.com.
Email us at dismemberinghorror@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, you can find me at Tim Aslin on all of the things.
Great.
You can find Ryan at Mayor McDuffie on Instagram.
That's me.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Bother him.
So next week will be Phenomena. Or Non?
Nah.
Phenomena.
Phenomena.
By our bud Dario.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in closing, and until then, thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.